Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Live with Obsessed. I'm Annette, and I'm here tonight with our special guest, who is Rohini, and she is mum to two boys. She lives in Melbourne. We still like her. A clinical hypnotherapist, an inner confidence coach and mentor. I'm really looking forward to exploring confidence. She supports humans to navigate the emotional roadblocks and obstacles that we stupidly put up that stop us achieving the success that we want. And you're all about helping people connect, aren't you, Rohini?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So my work that I do is connecting with yourself first before we connect with anybody outside of us, be it our immediate family, be it our husbands, parents, sisters, brothers, whosoever it is. The first connection is ourselves. Like before even we came on this planet to live, we had us as our own beings and our parents. So yeah, so that connection to that self is so important to have, feel, and connect to really get past any situation that you may be happening or facing in your life.
So why is it so hard for us to do that? I would think like that, we're born and we're a clean slate. Well,
Yes.
although some people say that we're not, but like for me, we're a clean slate. And where do we go wrong between birth and waking up and going, who am I?
Actually, we don't go wrong. It's we never go wrong. The concept of right and wrong is being delivered to us when we are tiny. I'll give you an example of my own boys because I see them growing every day. Like my boy would not think twice to take a knife in his hand, right? A very dangerous example, but he has done it until I shout and tell him, this is dangerous, Now,
Yep.
this is something really practical, but what about when the parent is scared to experience something? For example, a mom walking down the street and suddenly sees a spider and jumps. Oh my God, it's a spider, right? Now, the child will think, because for a child, the mom, the dad, they are the role models. They are their world completely. So any reaction, any energy that they give out is simply absorbed by the child. So all our beliefs, all our narratives, all our things were given to us by our parents, then our peers, the schools we went to. What did they tell us? Like when you look at the education system, it's always about do this and do not do this. So this is right and this is not right. So that narrative it may not vibe with you. That narrative may not, as you grow up, you start to question it. But when you are little, you do not have that conscious capacity to question because you are just given and you absorb it, right? You don't have that critical analysis to think. So that's where that narrative starts of right and wrong.
It sounds like that before we have children, we should probably address those things within ourselves first, because what you're saying is that we pass on these fears and these limiting beliefs from us to our kids through our actions and our role modeling. And we kind of set up this cycle of, almost like we jeopardize them right from the beginning, don't we?
Yes and no. I always feel and sense the answers are relative to each individual and it depends. So for example, if I believe in integrity and if I'm passing that on, it's amazing, right? But what does integrity to me is? That definition is so different for everybody. And having said that, even before kids, the only thing that we have us is the present moment. So either we are reacting or we are responding. So simply, if we are in a reactive phase, we are in a survival instinct mechanism, because that's how we have evolved as human beings. So we are in survival instinct mechanism, and then we lose the capacity to choose. But because when we are responding, we can think, she said that, it's not true for me, but it's true for her, right? Because that is based on your experience, what you experienced and what sort of belief you kind of formed. And it's an ongoing process. It never stops, even when you have kids. And it's good to be definitely conscious around who you are, what you are, and get yourself into a position where you can shift it. But in essence, there is nothing wrong with us. In essence, there is nothing wrong with us. It's the perspective that we have. Sometimes it serves us and sometimes it doesn't. For example, anybody who smokes or anybody who does emotional eating, when they cannot handle their emotions, they dissociate. They want to dissociate because your mind, your brain is so beautiful. It doesn't, and even your body, it's so beautiful. It doesn't want you to feel any bad. It doesn't want you to feel bad. It wants you to feel good about you. It wants to validate you. It wants to make you feel that you are amazing. It wants to protect you. Although their protection mechanism was formed in itself when you were a child, right? So I always believe there's in all together, this is a spectrum. It's when we say anger is not good and love is good, while I say anger is just a coping mechanism. So think about your negative emotions as the guards of your inner castle, right? So they are protecting. You don't want to feel negative. Who wants to be angry? Like, who wants to have rage, right? So these are the guards in front of you. They're like, hang on, we can't go there. Let me be angry. Let me project it outwards, because I can't go inwards because I'm not feeling good about myself. So let me project it outwards. So, but in essence, it's only a part of human emotion. If you see a child when they are 2 years old and you tell them no about a lolly that they're going to have, they will stomp their feet out. They will stomp it out. They will throw a tantrum. If you do not stop them from throwing the tantrum will finish. So they will ride a wave of emotion. The emotion finishes. They have dealt with it. They have expressed it. Then they go on to their merry life. Right? It's when we kind of stop them. No, don't get angry. Don't get upset. I'll sort this out for you. Right? And it's not something we do it deliberately. It's something that we don't know about, because when we were growing up, nobody's taught us the emotional intelligence, the way to process the emotions. We were always, like, as a girl, I was always said, oh, you're too sensitive. Oh, you shouldn't be crying. Don't cry so much. But you don't know whose coping mechanism is just crying, is processing the emotion. Like when we hear a joke, we just laugh. The joy is felt in our body and we finish it off, right? And that's it. We are fine. Same are the negative emotions. But it's only because we are not taught how to express it, this gets suppressed within us.
Do you really think that then is there really negative and positive emotions? Because as you're saying, that if we're expressing them with intent and dealing with it at the time, with the frustration, the anger, the joy, whatever it is, then they actually are there to serve a purpose.
Every emotion serves a purpose. Every emotion, it's meant to be experienced by us. We give an association of negative and positive. Again, it has been taught to us for two reasons. First, to make it simple. Like, how would somebody express what are they exactly feeling? Right? So when I know I can really name my emotion, I know I can choose to shift it. So that is another aspect of it. But in reality, all the emotions, it's 50-50. We are not meant to be happy all the time. The only time we are looking for happiness is when we have that either sadness or or frustration when we want to do something but we're not able to do something, when we are upset about something, right? Yeah.
Yep. So, like you see, like I'm on Facebook a lot. Obviously, I've got too much time on my hands, but I see people when they're on there and they're expressing, hey, this thing's happened to me. I feel down, and you get these people who come and go, just be positive, you'll be fine. Is there a danger that sometimes we go too far the other way with when we're trying to help people?
Firstly, helping people out, there are two aspects, being a mentor and in this space. My approach and my personal attitude towards is really giving help when it's asked for, because it's like the same thing. Why do we need, if what category is from, what is my intention behind it? So the person who is doing the act, so I would say, what's the intention behind that act? Sometimes you kind of correlate with some people, or you kind of find your own story reflected in them, and sometimes they are really asking for help. So it is such a I would say it's such a gray area, because on Facebook or social media, A, are you really asking for help? B, or are you simply seeking validation of what you already know?
That's a good point.
So are you simply seeking, because every time we agree to a perspective is either we have experienced it, or we simply kind of believe in it. Right? So for me, I personally don't jump onto it like, oh, okay, she's asked for help, but what is she doing about it? Because for me, my personal power is really discerning what's good for me. Because everybody will have, for example, childbirth. Take a very general topic, childbirth. You will hear a million stories on childbirth. Right now, it's up to me as an upcoming mother. Do I really want to take that stories on board and scare my own self? Or do I want to say, hang on, I will have my own experience and let's see where it takes? Or would I go and actually seek a help from a good professional who is trained in it, who has experience with it, and who is helping women with childbirth? Right? Because I always say free advice is not really free, because it comes with the person's own, the person who's giving advice, their perspective is coming with it. If somebody asks me my experience of childbirth, it's completely different to a mom who would have just gone in the hospital, bam, given birth and came out, and compared to me who was in a very long labor. So this is so personalized and individual. So when you are seeking help, what's your intention? And how do you discern, what do you do with that information? Like, same as media, not social media, but overall media. Like, there is so much news, so much. It's really looking at your own self. What am I getting when I'm absorbing that information? How is my nervous system? Am I driving myself into fear? So if I'm driving myself into fear, I'm automatically going to lower my immune response, because I will have all those stress precursors going in my body. So what am I truly doing with it? And that is your own personal power in discerning where do you put that full stop. Like, that is your inner relation to yourself, and knowing to step back for your own self first, right? Because if you are able to then fill your own cup first, and then you're able to give that back, you are in a much better space to serve, because now you have said, oh yes, this is not for me, I'm going to step back, I'm going to fill my cup with self-care, and whatever that looks like, it looks like rest, yoga, or exercise, or talking to a friend, calling a loved one, or whatever your means of connection is, or journaling, for example. So that is why it's so important to know us first, that what do I feel good about? What excites me? What do I love about it? To really then serve from a space of overflow, but not scarcity.
So how do you get to that point though, Rohini, because like what you've outlined is, someone who is self-aware. There's a lot of people who are struggling, that they don't care for themselves. They don't even think that they're worthy of being cared for. Like, I know that I'm asking you to generalize, but what's the switch that gets flicked when someone goes, you know what, this isn't serving me well, but I don't know how to change?
Okay. So, how to get to a point of self-awareness is a decision. So, example, and this is picked from somewhere. I don't know. I read this quote. I don't know where, but it's just dropped into my brain now. So I'll tell you. Somebody gave an example. Imagine you're sitting on a chair and there is a pin on the cushion you are sitting on. So the first time you'll do ow, right? First time you'll do ow, you'll get off, and then you'll sit back. Now imagine every time you sit back, you do ow. Why aren't you taking that pin out of the cushion and chucking it away? Because probably it's not hurting you that much. Right? So your pain, whatever, that's why the emotions work in synchronicity. Your pain, what do you do with it? Do you simply just dissociate and seek instant gratification? Or do you sit with it and decide, I don't want to feel pain with this topic that's hurting me? And then what do I do about it? Do my own research. So your pain, your relationship with pain, or do you really think you're worthy of that pain, that it's normal to have pain? It will again really come to that point of discernment and decision. Like some people, they hit rock bottom before they start to climb up. I hit my rock bottom. I was done. I was, flat on the ground. I've heard so many stories for people hitting rock bottom, and definition of rock bottom is so different for everyone. So telling my own story, when I had my first one, I was okay, but I was constantly overwhelmed. Like I used to cry on every little thing. I used to get upset on every single thing. And then I thought, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be this person anymore. And what can I do to shift it? For some, it comes in the form of anxiety. For some, it comes in the form of depression. Right? But
it's having that pin and going, you know what, that hurts. Yes. I'm not going to sit on it anymore,
because I'm inherently worthy. There, you already said it. Why do people think they are not worthy? Because that's the story or the belief system they have. Because, I am not worthy. Am I not worthy of, going to ask for help? Then again, what's the relationship of asking for help? What are we taught about asking? No, I'm robust enough. I'm a single man army. I'm going to do everything by myself. Why is that? If you can't find a solution to something, why wait till it worsens and then go? Why not on the first pain point that you're wanting to shift? Or maybe it comes to your desire. You look at somebody, oh my God, that is so amazing. What an amazing life they are having. I want to have what she has. But what does she has? And you're not usually chasing the money, or you're not usually chasing a car or a status symbol. You're chasing the feeling. Like, what do they make you feel when you look at them? Right?
Oh, you're raising so many good questions.
Yes, absolutely. Because these are the questions. And it comes to a space, there will be time when there would just be questions and you'll be like, I'm stuck, I'm resistant. It's not resistance, it's actually the judgment of it again. Like I should be somewhere else, but not where I am now. Like first step is the acceptance. This hurts. This hurts is the first acceptance. The acceptance and awareness comes together.
For you were working as a dentist, and
yes, I still do part-time. Yeah,
you still work as a dentist.
Yeah,
that would be a really interesting appointment to have as you're looking into someone's mouth, You're going, so how are you feeling about yourself today? So you're working as a dentist, and like you felt that you had something that you needed to hide, that there was always something missing,
Yeah.
and your struggle was with perfection,
Yeah.
which is, it's almost like you set yourself up to fail, isn't it, when you're striving for perfection?
There is nothing to, yeah.
So what was that moment where you went, you know what, I'm just not going to hide anymore?
The moment came when, for me, I wouldn't say one particular moment, but the shift happened after my first child. But I also never knew that I was hiding. I only came to know afterwards that how I was compensating for certain behaviors when I had my own coaching, my own therapy done on me. Before that, I would have never even got to that point. Like, it's like when if you are sitting very close to the problem, you can't see it. For you, it is just normal. For me, it was just normal being overwhelmed, being overtired, and and I wouldn't even imagine to be some other mom at all. Like, I couldn't even go there. But what was in me was this desire to find out more about my own self, and this desire to, I don't want to be overwhelmed all the time, this crying, this constant whinging, whining, complaining, which I do, and I can say it without any shame, because I just embrace all of me, the way I was and the way I am now. So it's very simple, deciding into, and that was my moment. And when I experienced it for the first time, when it was for me, meeting my own self, like that's how I describe it. For the very first time, I saw that I saw myself. Because earlier, till then, it was like somebody said something and I would do exactly what they said, because I'm a good girl, so that nobody can find a fault in me, right? Because if you're doing exactly as they say, nobody can find a fault in you. But you cannot please everybody as well. Like, somebody would still be upset. This is a never ending cycle, because you have already handed over your personal power.
Yeah, and
So,
nobody should do that.
yeah. But see, this is something we don't question till it hurts us. Till we really start to see, is this how I want my life to be? Like, do you ever get that question in your brain? Then what do you do with it? Do you go into it, digging into it, or do you, sideline yourself and go and, off on your merry way, watch Netflix, do Facebook, and when that point comes, what do you do? Do you dissociate, or do you connect into that thing that's hurting you? And most of us do dissociate, which is nothing wrong. It's just a coping mechanism. Again, it's what your nervous system can cope with, right? Because your brain's there to protect you. Only when you start to question your thoughts with curiosity, not judgment, just being curious. I wonder, why do I think that? I wonder, where does it come from? Who told me this thing for the first time? What are my beliefs around this? My beliefs were that I am a dentist, so I should stay a dentist. Like, I do not need to go from an industry that's really highly paying to an industry which is kind of taking off. And if you start working for yourself as an entrepreneur, then maybe you would not be paid as much. So that was my struggle. A struggle is a struggle. Doesn't necessarily has to be a big one, but it's important that what does it creates in you. And for me, it was like, nope, I don't want to do that. I wanna really help people with what I have received. It came to me in the session. Sorry, yeah.
I really like what you said about being curious about where something is coming from, because we can be really hard on ourselves, oh, you stupid idiot, or what a moron you are, or, why did you do that, or look at you, those horrible things that we say to ourselves, where what you've just suggested is, instead of saying those things, we actually ask a question so that we can explore how to get back on that path of, okay, you're doing really well here. I really liked how you asked that question, Annette, because that means that you can then go on and, I've never heard it put that way before.
Yeah, absolutely. Like curiosity is the key. Where does it come from? Because if I work on this belief that I am inherently worthy and there is nothing wrong with me in any scenario, I'm just having a human experience, a human emotion, right? So that is it. Like that is the gist of it. So either, I always with my people, with my clients, I usually put it in two ways. Either you're operating from fear or you operating from love, right? So your decision is, and then also forgiving yourself. Like you would react. Knowing all this doesn't mean that I don't have reactions or I don't react to things. I would jump, or I would shout on my kids now and then. Wow, that's fine, but it's over. What do I do afterwards? Do I sit and reflect on it, why it happened, what part of me got triggered, and then I work on it so that next time when it happens, I'm better prepared, that, oh yeah, so that I can catch myself. Look, maybe I'm going to that, path of fear again, and now I can choose something else instead.
That seems to me like the highest form of self-care that you can do. I mean, I know when we talk about self-care, it's like, we exercise and, we meditate and, like we do things for ourselves. But what you've just said, that seems to be like the epitome of self-care, is to forgive yourself and to ask questions on just how things can be done differently without beating yourself up. It's like gold.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to stop beating yourself up. Only then you can, because if you're beating yourself up, what sort of feeling it's coming from? That self-criticism, self-judgment again. What if it's self-compassion? Then what would it look like? Really discerning into that, into the action of that. What would it look like if it's compassion? How would it be different? Right?
And
Inherently, yeah.
that's where confidence comes from, isn't it? Where you are so centered in yourself that you forgive yourself, that you're accepting of, here's the things that I'm good at, here's the things I'm not so good at. You don't beat yourself up over the things you're bad at, and you celebrate the things that you're good at. They're the people that you're drawn to, because it's like, look at that person. Like, what is it about them that makes them shine?
Absolutely, spot on, exactly that. It's that is the ultimate, your ultimate self-care practice is you're in a relationship, because no matter how much detox you do from physical world, but emotionally as well, if you're not detoxing from your own thoughts, and it's everyday practice with your own thoughts, your energies, like what are you picking on, what sort of thing are you vibrating on. It is so important to see, but also not bypassing, like not, it's not a jump that now I'm negative and suddenly I'm positive. Like you're not a switch, you need to process it. Because I'm saying that because in this last week I have heard maybe people very close to me in a close circle dying randomly for heart attack or something. So it is hard, that doesn't mean that, oh my god, there is this grief coming on now, then I start jumping around like, oh my god, that's fine, that's grief, I'm over it. No, sometimes you have to sit with it, allow it to process, really know, what do you feel about it, is there anything you would have expressed. Like there are always stages through it. So I always say, do not rush with yourself as well. Do not rush
Beautiful.
yourself. Yeah.
Rohini Nagpal from the Holistic Thrive, thank you so much for joining me this
Pleasure.
evening on Live with Obsessed. That was absolute. I just like had a few bing, bing, bing light bulb moments going off, and I certainly hope that our listeners and viewers have tonight. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again.
Yes, absolutely. It was such a pleasure, privilege, and an honor. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Bye.